Reza,
Yes,
what do you do with your time?
time. I work, I do sport. That's all.
That's all?
And I sleep, of course, 8 hours.
You sleep 8 hours exactly?
Exactly 8 hours.
Yeah.
Eight. I mean, I sleep 7 hours,
Yeah.
but 30 minutes. 30 minutes, kind of. I go bed, and 30 minutes take time to sleep, and 30 minutes to get home.
Do you call sport then sort of like leisure time, or is work like,
Sport is it's more than leisure and a sport because sport is for me as a community. It is a people that I would like to hang out in my spare time, but
Yeah.
I don't do this and I go and do sport. And also I like instructing people doing the right stuff. So it's sport for me is more than leisure time.
Okay.
It's a lifestyle.
Is it worth more to you than sort of work time?
No, it's not work time because I'm completely kind of not stressed, something like this. Work for me is associated with stress, responsibility, and blah blah blah, but sport doesn't.
So you'd rather be doing sport all the time than say work or something?
If I can make money with this, then why not?
Some people can,
Yeah, I mean, I think I have this past dependency, because I studied, I worked I did some certain issues, so I can't detach myself from my past. So I just keep going and improving
Past
what I've
dependency,
done.
yeah.
Past dependency.
Yeah. So I mean, you've already sold your time, right?
Yes.
In a certain extent. I mean, that's what this interview is about. It's about time.
Yes.
And about how we sell each other's time in order to buy other people's time. And that's why I start. Well, what do you do with your time? What would you like to do with your time?
I mean, it's just I don't have a dream like non-work, non-working lifestyle. I love working, but I have never thought that I sell my time because that would be very harsh self-criticism.
I know, but I mean,
At the end of the day,
in the end of the day, that's exactly what we're doing. I mean, we either sell our time or we're just not using we're not selling our time, which is what we call leisure.
Yes. I have no idea. Time is I don't assess my time as a scarcity. Perhaps I'm young, but
that's
been in some,
that's sort of a thing, though. I mean,
after
time,
some years.
if there is anything that is scarce, it's probably time, right? I mean, you have 24 hours in a day. You have
Yes, if you think like metaphysically, then the time is scarce.
you have 365 days in a year, and then you have maybe, if you're lucky, in Germany, 78 years or something like that.
Yeah. Exactly. Time is as a parameter is very important in any kind of. I know you hate, but in utility functions.
No, why not? Yeah, of course, it's very important in utility functions, as you say. I mean, utility used to be connected to happiness.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes.
Like that's where it first came from. Is what was utility?
Yes.
What's utility is actually what in the end brings me some sort of happiness.
Yes.
That's where utilitarianism came from, which is why I'm sympathetic to utilitarianism. But I mean, don't you feel like sometimes you might want to have more time for one thing than another?
Yes, of course. I mean, it's a universal human problem.
Yeah.
I have this, but I try to, as possible as I can, I try to manage carefully, efficiently my time.
But why do you do that?
Just because, for example, I have a kind of modern human day schedule. You sleep 8 hours, you got up early in the morning, you go to job, and after job you have leisure activities, for example. That's why I also have this set matrix. But sometimes I change this. Sometimes I change my work schedule since I'm independent. I'm a researcher.
Well, I mean, why do you have such a set matrix though?
Because I'm more productive.
Why do you want to be more productive?
I mean, it's because you have everything is a kind of a process. Yes, I have to be productive just to meet the requirements that I have to meet. Requirement. Yeah, I have some requirements. I have some job responsibilities that I have to do. Otherwise, I can't do this job. For example, PhD is a structured research program. I have certain deadlines, so I know that I have to spend 100 hours for this task. So if I spend 150 hours, then I can't do another task. That's all about calculating and trying to be efficient. That's all about.
What do you?
Nothing else.
What in the end, though, do you want to do with this time that you spent on your PhD?
It's a at the end of the day, after 3 years, for example, 3 years is a cumulative investment of your time to this PhD, and PhD is equal to 3 years of doing research. But of course, it's not only about time; it's about everything, any kind of resources. If you can. It's an opportunity cost as well. If you do a PhD, you can't do any other things. Yes, opportunity cost is involved just because of the time constraint.
Yeah, opportunity exactly.
Cost, and so, but I think that I have I have a balanced opportunity cost because I think there is a value in PhD, doing a PhD. And I think my topic is good.
What's the value?
My topic is good. I think my research.
No, why? I mean, like, why is it valuable?
A topic as a topic.
Yeah, I mean, why do you spend your time?
I have very personal reasons to do PhDs because I think that in Germany you can better integrate into society in the first place. If you have a PhD, you can take a very good job, decent job. I can work at the university, which I want to work at the university. And this is a kind of transition period for me into German society, complete transition period. So I won't also work only in German, not in English or in other language. So PhD is more than the institutionalized entitlement, but it's a kind of stuff that.
Okay.
But and plus I have topics that I always want to work. It's like a demographic studies and the impact of demographic transitions on the political process, which I was always in. I have always interested in this.
So
it seems very ideal life, yes, but it's not.
I don't know. I mean, for
my
me,
answers. I think my answer is very ideal. But it's true.
Your answers are very concise. I say, like, I'm still trying to get out. Why do you want to spend time? I mean, why do you want to do certain things?
I always have this counterfactual argument. You know, if I were not involved in this, what else? So what I will do? If I don't have PhD, for example, if I wouldn't have a PhD, then what I can do, what I will do. So this counterfactual argument in my brain says that I have a good decision. You know what I'm saying? For example, I can work for the company, yes, any consulting company. First place. A second, I can work as a teacher. I don't know, but we can run this enterprise that we had before. But I left everything and start doing PhD. Yes, so I have this now. I can retrospectively say that I had a good decision, but maybe also I'm like a appeasing. What is this? But still, I think that this counterfactual thinking helps me to understand what else. And there are very few options that I can do.
That's the opportunity cost problem.
But I think I have low opportunity cost. Also depends on the university because I have been accepted by several universities, yes, but I have never been accepted by a good university, good institution, and therefore I didn't go. I didn't go to UK because it was costly and not good university. I didn't stay in Hamburg. I didn't go to different universities. There's a one in Mannheim. I didn't go there. But at the end of the day, I was accepted by Humboldt, and then I started to do this. So that also made my decision. Your question is that why do you spend the time? I don't assess time as a resource. Because you can't save your time. You can't, for example, you can't store your time somewhere like a money, and then you just take them and invest. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, it's just as a flow, as a river. It's just going, and you are running
to
fast.
to a certain extent, you're right.
Yeah.
It seems like you have to invest a certain number, in quotation marks, a certain amount of time in order to figure out what you're going to do with the rest of your time.
That is a kind of business management language where people use time as a resource.
We always use time
as a resource, as an investment, as a resource. But of course, that comes from the business mind. But of course, I'm completely aware that time is not a resource at all, because a time something that you can control. If you can't control, it's not a resource. Resource is something that you can control. You can, at the time, only the one feature of the time that it makes as a resource is the efficient allocation. So you can allocate the time efficiently, and you can create the matrix, and then you spend the time. But it's just this. You can't store, you can't redistribute your resources, like, because the time already spent, but somehow it is a resource in a sense that you can efficiently allocate, but it's not more than this. And the second is that always you have different options, and you make a choice. When you make a choice, you also try to see that what it brings in terms of spent time on this project.
But don't you get a sense that you're spending your time on your university project or your job, your work, or your sport or something like that? Don't you also get a sense that you're also using the time of other people?
You mean you buy a time of the other people? You use on
whether you buy it or are given it.
Yes, but that is exactly the same. Not exactly, but it reminds me the production process of the unit of the product. This famous example that needle, for example, Adam Smith's example. One produces one, but 10 produces many. So they changing, like swapping the time.
Okay,
and
well,
buying
I think you read my article on time, and that's where you got this from, because that's exactly the reason I'm having this.
Unfortunately, I haven't read your article.
The reason I'm having this interview is because.
But great minds think alike.
Yeah, great minds think alike. Because I wrote an article on time and how we spend our own time in order to more or less buy the time of other people, and the needle or the pin argument was in there. I called them nails. Yes. Myself.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's the concept is of course, but it's not also true, because some people they value their time differently than you, because the currency is different.
Well, let's take this pin example. The one person can make, let's say, 9 pins in an hour or something like that. We'll just say, but the 10 people can make over 900, which is an order of magnitude much more. Yeah. Which in the end, means that if they only chose to make 81 pins, i.e. 9 pins per person, they would be on the same level of pins as the one person and have a lot more time.
Yes, to spend on something else.
And
what is something else?
I don't know, but I mean, to me it seems...
It depends on what the general project, Adam Smith's project. Of course, it's brilliant ideas and everything else. But the question is, you use the time of other people to save your own time, and then
and vice versa, hopefully.
vice versa, hopefully, yes.
And
Then
that's-
you have a time that you kind of, I would say, you get out of this trade-off. Yes, you receive out of this trade-off. But then I have another question. You have the time that you gain from this trade-off, but the question is where you are going to spend this time. If you are going just to sit in front of the TV and watch your Game of Thrones series or anything else, then I don't see any social welfare out of this.
Well,
times.
let me turn this
Yes,
question.
so the welfare
let me-
is that
Let me
Game of Thrones is
turn
going
this question around, and Adam Smith, he came in sort of at the time when capitalism and especially the Industrial Revolution was really getting underway in England, and he was pointing out that 10 people, for instance, can produce a lot of pins, many more than one single person, and so that in a certain amount of time they produce 900 pins. And however, what happens is that their time that they spent, because they're still spending the same amount of time just in order to make more pins, and this more pins gets appropriated by someone else, which in effect means that their time, their free time that they just saved for themselves, because they didn't need the more pins for themselves, they only needed a certain number of pins. They've just given this free time to someone else, and this is the person who, okay, maybe he's not sitting on the couch and watching Game of Thrones, but he's definitely not contributing to the making of the pins in any concrete way. And that's the whole reason I'm having this interview. I feel that we could be giving our time to each other much better, mutually, in a way that helps everyone have more time for themselves.
Yeah.
And yet we're put into a society where we don't do that.
I think that in many cases, in many issues, I agree with you. But the one issue that the Adam Smithian ideology was based on competitiveness. For example, they produce more and better, and they compete with other as well, and also but time wasn't like a major emphasis of his work. Yes,
I see that as a failure of his then.
Yes, I don't know.
You see,
of course, his idea was completely different. Yes, he more about
he was pointing out a completely
efficiency and
he was. What is efficiency? It's amount of work done over time.
Yes, how you interpret it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it seems to me like the way we think about efficiency nowadays is that we can get more done in the same amount of time. And I would like
But today life is just one case. The time that you save out of this trade of and out of this bargaining process is also monopolized by by the system as well, because you have a time, then the time that you save you can't still spend on yourself. You started to to work to just be addicted with internet and watch stuff.
Your
blah, blah,
brain
blah.
is going.
This is different direction.
Your brain is going into negative things.
No. It's a different direction. Yes, of course. Well, in terms of our situation, yes, I think we have an ideal mutual kind of stuff where I help you, you help me. Yes, I try to give my time. Yes, and you give your own time, but it's not just to produce something common, but we help each other with our time, and that would be the ideal case, for example.
And this is what I'm getting at. We might not produce anything common for each other, as in a product that we both own, but we're still producing time for each other.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Not only in the sense that I give you my time and you your time, give me your time, but in the sense that in the end we also have more time for other things, than if I worked on my project alone and you worked on your project alone. And to me, that seems like the way, economically we should be going, because we all have only a little bit of time on this planet. 70 years, 70 8 years, 80 years now, in some countries, right?
Yes.
It's not that much left. And we spend how much of it in the workplace or, or gearing up to be in workplace, like a school is gearing for us to go to work. And then a work for when you're 18
Yes.
or 24 until you're 65
Occupied.
or
Your
70.
time is occupied.
Yeah, your
by-
time is
by-
occupied. Are you doing something that's you feel is worthwhile? Are you doing something that is making you enough money in order to actually take care of yourself and your family? Are you doing something blah blah blah, so on and so on? I mean, we can all intuitively answer these questions. For most people, no, that's not the case.
It much thing depends on personal traits as well. Are
course,
you
of course.
egocentric, selfish person or more socially?
Yeah, but you keep on going into like, okay, some people are egoistic and some stuff like that. But in the end, we have a system where the egoistic people are the ones who get our time the most, and that's through our money system. All right, Riza, thank you for your time.
Thank you for your time and considerations.